Today we're going to be looking at kit bashing various plastic kits for skeletons from Wargames Atlantic, Oathmark, and probably some of the Games Workshop Death Rattle skeletons, which I think are now part of the Soulblight Gravelords kits, just to be totally IP protected. First up, we've got a few miniatures I threw together. I mean, I'm thinking kind of Kings of War. That's why they're square based, and the monster figures are square based, and the cavalry are square based, and the individual heroes are square based. But the infantry dudes, I think what I'll do with them is put them into some kind of like sabot basing, group basing squares, but also keep them in case I do go for the Age of Sigmar approach. So this is a really cool bone giant, which is one of the first 3D models I bought. I bought it from a guy called Soul Forged Miniatures on eBay. It's about 20 quid. It made me feel better about doing something dumb and getting rid of the old Tomb Kings giant I had in metal, which I never really liked. I thought it looked a bit goofy with a pineapple head, but it sells for like 100 quid or something now on eBay. But equally, is this model not much better? I mean, look at that. Look at that. And actually, it cleaned up really nicely. Well, I say cleaned up, it didn't need any cleanup. What I meant was, you know, you just dusted off a bit of dust, and I undercoated it with one of the Halford's primers, just so that paint would stick to it. Maybe we'll get to that one day. Just to give you a bit of sense of scale, that's the on the bottom left, you've got one of the North Star skeletons with a Khemri shield, and then you've got down on the right you've got one of the Wargames Atlantic skeletons with but the heads are very goofy, and we'll come on to that. And so I gave it one of the North Star heads. All fits together perfectly well. And then that Pharaoh, I mean, he looks a bit bigger. He's from Crocodile Games, and it's amazing how things are cyclical. You know, I had him as I was going to cut all the bits off his arms and use him as a Blood Bowl coach, but actually he would be perfect as a undead demigod type Pharaoh. And over there on the left, we'll come to those in a minute. But that's an old Tomb Kings, bit of cavalry, spruced up with some of the more modern Games Workshop undead pieces. So what I basically did was take a combination of the Wargames Atlantic bodies and the North Star bodies, and use only North Star heads, sticking to the more armoured ones. I mean, it doesn't matter that they look like a weird mix of kind of Celts and the Egyptians. I mean, my argument is going to be this is real ancient history, and so they could be the Sea Peoples for all we know. But aren't they fun? Look at that. Look at that. I thought I would use the bowmen are basically straight up North Star plastic skeletons for Oathmark, of course, and actually you could get a lot of character into them, a lot of character into just random bowmen. And back there, I think, so he's a bit bigger, and he's a bit wrong in the sense that he looks like an early Renaissance kind of Thomas Cromwell type character who just died and went to Elizabethan heaven there with his ruff. But you know, he could be a slightly later necromancer. Bit of a better close-up shot here. Look at that army of the undead. And then we have the boss dude, and I thought, well, why can't he be bigger? He'd be a champion. And that again is a combination of Games Workshop head, Khemri shield, old Khemri body, and a sword from one of the more modern Games Workshop skeleton kits. And I nicked this idea from a fantastic set of video blogs on YouTube from a guy called Scruffy Crow, who has a much more professional approach than this. And here we have a close-up of the unit leader over there, a bit piratical, kind of like those pirates from Asterix. I mean, I did screw up that this very interesting and quite unique shield really should have gone to him, but hey ho, it's all right. And there you can see that there's no problem having a Wargames Atlantic body with, I think that might be a Games Workshop head actually, one of the more modern kits. Slightly scrawnier mate, looking a bit lost, very Asterix in the 12 Tasks of Asterix. Some size comparisons, very elegantly annotated, so you can see why I abandoned the Wargames Atlantic heads. I mean, it looks like Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull over there. Then we've got the new GW head, Oathmark head, and look how similar those are. And then we've got the no way would I use it in a million years giant old GW Khemri heads. This will give you a sense of the bodies, just to give you a bit of scale. It's over there on the right. I mean, I'm not even old enough to remember exactly when they came out, but I think it was the 90s. Some kind of necromancer dude. Bit chunky. Then you've got a... So that's a Wargames Atlantic body, I believe, with the North Star head and arms, Khemri shield. Matches perfectly fine, I would say, with this dude here now on the left, which is a North Star body. North Star everything except the shield. North Star everything except the shield. And then Wargames Atlantic body, but everything else is a shield. And over here, an old GW Khemri horse with a new GW head and a random shield, I think from a Chaos Marauder sprue. And a banner from one of the newer GW kits. And there it is, you can read it all. Strangely, the new GW skeletons seem to be crouching and moving forward, but actually that means they can fit in perfectly well, because, you know, people do crouch. And there. Although it is a bit annoying, I suppose someone thought this makes him look animated, but I mean, he looks like he's about to start into a jog, unless I assembled it incorrectly. Another picture of the horde over there. Again, quite a lot of character there in the archers. That one looks like he's having a bit of a fag. This gives you a sense of the skeletons and how they work. I mean the archer skeletons. So yes, I believe they're all straight up North Star, except for this dude who is the body of a Wargames Atlantic skeleton. Word about the cavalry. I started off with these, for more than a decade I've had a broken bunch of these Khemri cavalry, all smashed up. Could I do anything with them? Could they be saved? And the answer is, yes we can, or rather yes they can. So what I did was I took the basic new GW skeleton spearman kit, and I gave them some interesting heads, which might have been from they're not spearmen, they're some kind of like grave guard, some kind of step up. And so these spears are quite cool, and the arms fit on perfectly well on these old horses. There they are, charging off. I had in my mind's eye, strangely, they looked a bit Polish lancers, you know, from the Napoleonic Wars. Looking all spindly and thin, with their long pointy sticks, designed for one thing and one thing alone. And here we have the dudes at the back. I mean, some people don't like the bat wings. They grew on me. There's Thomas Cromwell again, marshalling his forces on behalf of the Reformation. The boys are back in town there. You can get quite a lot of animation in there. Look at the determination on that undead face. And that's basically it for the undead. See you next time. Maybe one day I'll even manage to get in a game of Kings of War or something, whereby you get to just raise the undead. I think I need this dude though. Well, these dudes with their little skeleton catapult, just to spice things up in terms of heavy artillery. The only thing is, I mean, look at those heads. I'll have to look at, they're a plastic kit. Maybe that head won't be replaceable, but maybe that one will. Maybe I don't need these guys at all as crew. Maybe I could just work something else out. Keep safe and see you soon.